for me, balance has been an evolving process. It's allowed me to take it from the physicality, the manifestation in my own body of needing balance just to walk, to looking at conceptual levels of balance.
Welcome to the Web of Life podcast. I'm your host, Cody Alexander. Today, we'll be exploring balance together. We'll hear from two of our Spirit Bridges, Hawko and Sonny, as well as Quynn Red Mountain, the founder of Web of Life Animist Church. In these journeys, there are themes of water, sight, and explorations of the many ways this energy we call balance manifests. During my experiences working with Quynn and Web of Life, I've heard many shares of journeys, stories, and other offerings of wisdom. They always carry something that resonates with me or leaves me with an object of further contemplation. Oftentimes, these offerings are long, deeply detailed, immense stories. Something I found very interesting in my editing process of this episode was that many of the journeys exploring balance were a little more simple, short and sweet. This was not intentional, nor does it take anything away from their value. In fact, I saw this as a beautiful synchronicity pointing to the presence of balance being a dynamic, shifting thread that links all events and processes in this realm. The pendulum swing, ebb and flow, seasonal shifts, death and rebirth. And while balance seems to be an inseparable aspect of this world, there are times when we might have to recognize imbalance and choose to act and bring balance into our experience. May you have the clarity of vision to notice imbalance as it arises, and may you harness the energy to provide balance where it's needed. Here, we journey on your behalf. I encourage you to regard these offerings like they are a form of divination. As you listen, do your best to keep some awareness on the words being spoken and to allow the imagery to play out in your mind. You might even close your eyes if it is safe to do so for you at this time. Breathe slowly and deeply and notice how you feel in your body as certain words are spoken. Notice any thoughts or feelings that come up for you in response to the things being said and any imagery that is illustrated here. Take what resonates with you and leave the rest. I wish you all the best as we enter into our journey.
So when I first tuned in, I saw a board that I played with as a child that has like a magnet, and underneath was metal shavings. And every time I moved this, all of the metal shavings would come in the magnet, so you could make different kinds of pictures with these metal shavings. And so that's what I first saw, and I wasn't sure what that was about. But then I actually was taken out, given a vision of being out into nature, seeing the trees, the air, the water, the stream, just a lot of beauty. And then I started seeing animals. I saw the energy fields of the animals, and I saw the soul, like the soul energy fields, and the balances of not just the homeostasis of the environment, but also of the different energy fields of each animal and how it changes just based on the environment that they're in. Anyway, that was my takeaway with it.
Balance is something that I have thought about in some depth, and the definition of balance has changed for me personally. However, I began asking the question, what do I need from balance? And I've been working with that as a type of balance that it's able to right itself. It can fly upside down. They can negotiate through tight places without using light, using their own projections and then listening. So in my case, I had a severe tear on my retina that started this whole process a couple years ago. And so bright light causes me some real distress. And if I have too much of it, then I lose my balance. I have to sit down and close my eyes because the focus in the two eyes is radically different. And they're both trying to focus, but they can't come to an agreement. So I generally restrict the light to one eye so that the other eye can take in the big world and look for details. But the other eye is real good for peripheral vision and for seeing the world in impressionistic colors. So I've come to see balance as how it's really critical that I balance my light levels in order to maintain the physicality balance of my body. So I've noticed that I become more and more comfortable in very low light or the dark where, I could still make out with both eyes and they can work together more. For me, balance has been an evolving process. It's allowed me to take it from the physicality, the manifestation in my own body of needing balance just to walk, to looking at conceptual levels of balance. A lot of balance involves profiling and assessment of your situation, like the balance of what can I say? What can the person I'm speaking with hear? Yeah, I live in a state of constant updating my understanding of balance. Thank you.
Balance, balance overall, it is kind of a trial and error kind of thing, right? Like, what works, and we get used to what works. That's how we walk. But it's when we lose our balance in some area of our life and we have to find our way back to some newer or some recognized form of balance that we have to start dissecting it or looking at it in a different way, maybe a way that we've taken for granted before, if we've just had balance, right? Or if it's never been an issue, not just physical balance, but lots of different types of balances. Yeah. And then, okay, well, what is keeping me from balance, or what needs to happen for me to be able to even sit in a calm way and just kind of be balanced, like still and balanced. So it's good questions, which we don't have to answer until we, quote, lose our balance, right? So like babies are well into it as they're learning how to walk and they're stumbling around. But then after a while, we just kind of, until we lose some form of balance in our life. For some people, it might be addiction or depression or physical issues. They're all very real. And those are our teachers then. So this is what life is. That's the thing about balance. It's never set. It's always shifting. Part of it is, what ground are we standing on? Like literally just standing. Is it cement? Is it soft earth? Is it sand? Is it water? Like it all depends on what we have to do to remain balanced. Is it rushing water? That's something will work in one situation, but it won't work in another. And so it's a very dynamic experience. It's consistently shifting. The image that popped into my head when I was listening to the drum is, okay, let's say if I am trying to balance and in a stream of water that is rushing past me, there's a part of me that in order to stay upright needs to like counterweight against the flow of water, like leaning into it in a way, because if I give into it, it might tip me over, almost like a counterbalance against the force moving towards me to stay upright, or it could be wind. But if I do that in a situation where there's not that counterweight, then I will fall over or stumble. There were different scenarios like that. If I'm standing on something really soft, that I might need to hold my legs a bit differently and grip in, if I can, in a different way, different than or walking across stones, that kind of balance, that is a very different type than just walking on pavement. And so it's hardwired into our systems about different scenarios. And then if and when we're in an environment that is new to us, And we have never, let's say, walked in a high stream of water that's much more, and it could whisk us away, right? Like in what happens in floods, takes cars away, takes people away. But the point where you can still walk across, you have to brace against it. If you don't know that, if you don't have the learning either from other people or from your own experience to know that you're going to step into that water without doing that, or walking across stones across water, right? If you don't know, you have to like do your toe kind of first and not put your whole weight on to see if the rock is going to move, if it's stable or not. If it's not, then you have to counter that, right? To stay upright. If it is, then you can put your whole weight on it. If you don't know that, if it's new, then there's much more of a chance that any of us, will be imbalanced. So part of this too is experience, going through something before. Like, how much counterweight do you need against a really big wind, right? To keep going forward. Your body might even be leaning into it and you're not straight up. So these are experience activities. And so we learn more over time from our experiences of having to lose our balance and finding it again, or being tipped off balance and like tilting, right? Losing it, finding it again. That's how we learn how to balance. That's how we learn how to walk. We get the body memory of what it feels like to walk for those who can walk. For those who don't walk, it's some other kind of balance. And so that's what was floating in my mind today.
Web of Life is an animist church located in Tucson, Arizona, which is Odom and Pascua Yaqui land, and shares digital space with people around the world. We strive to share our animist understanding with all earth-honoring people, and as members of this earth community of interwoven lives, we commit to contributing to the wellness of the whole, because we all belong. If you would like to journey on your own, you can find audio opportunities to do so at weboflifeanimists.com under offerings. Live offerings are also available. Check our website calendar of live events for details. Thank you for your time and attention. We are looking forward to our next encounter.